Welcome to Finbot Insights. In this explainer, we are going to deconstruct a pivotal moment in financial history, a high-stakes challenge that pitted one legendary investor against the entire system of Wall Street. So, picture this. It is the 2006 Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholder meeting. Warren Buffett, the famed Oracle of Omaha, stands up and issues this very public wager, putting $500,000 of his own money on the line. This was, make no mistake, a gauntlet thrown directly at the feet of the most elite managers in finance. But this was about so much more than just money. It was a public confrontation with the fundamental premise of the high-fee investment industry. It called into question whether the so-called experts were truly adding any value for their clients. Now, to really understand the gravity of this challenge, it is essential to first understand the two completely different investment philosophies that lie at its heart. The conflict is between two very distinct approaches. On one side, you have active management, which is the world of hedge funds. It seeks to beat the market using expert analysis and complex strategies, all for a high fee. And on the other side, you have passive management, which simply tries to match the market's return at the lowest possible cost. Active management is built on this one core belief, that expertise adds real value. The idea is that the best and brightest minds in the financial world can navigate the markets with a special kind of skill, a skill that, of course, justifies their considerable compensation. Passive management, on the other hand, comes from a totally different place. It argues that attempting to beat the market is, for most people, a losing game. This is because markets are generally efficient, and more importantly, the costs are just so high. So the goal isn't to be a hero and beat the market, it's to match its performance as efficiently as possible. To truly grasp why Buffett was so certain he would win this bet, we need to pull back the curtain and dissect the fee structure that is standard practice in the hedge fund industry. Right at the heart of Buffett's critique is a compensation model famously known as 2 and 20. This has long been the standard arrangement in high finance, and it represents a significant hurdle for investors' returns. So here's how it works. It is a two-part system. First, managers collect a 2% fee on all the assets they manage, and that is whether the fund makes money or loses it. Second, they take a 20% share of any profits the fund generates. And here's the crucial part. Investors bear 100% of any and all losses. The mathematical drag from these fees is just enormous. Let's consider a hypothetical year. A hedge fund posts an impressive 25% gross return. But after that 2 and 20 fee structure is applied, the net return that actually goes to investors drops to just 18%. In that very same period, a simple S&P 500 index fund could have returned over 28%, creating a massive performance gap, a gap that is almost entirely attributable to costs. After Buffett made his pronouncement, there was a long period of silence from the hedge fund world. In fact, it was not until 16 months later that a firm finally stepped forward to accept the challenge. Seides, from a firm named Protégé Partners, was the one who emerged to defend the honor and the efficacy of the active management industry. He was going to be the champion for hedge funds against the Oracle of Omaha. Now, Protégé Partners operated as what is known as a fund of funds. This means that instead of picking individual stocks, their job was to select other hedge funds to invest in. The critical point here is that this structure introduces an entire additional layer of fees on top of the already high fees charged by the underlying funds. You could call it a layer cake of costs. And Seides was extremely confident. When asked, he estimated his odds of winning at least 85%. He believed that the ability of active managers to hedge against market downturns would give them a significant and ultimately decisive advantage over a simple index fund. Buffett's confidence, however, was not based on some crystal ball for market predictions or economic forecasts. It was rooted in what he viewed as a simple and inescapable mathematical conclusion. You see, Buffett's argument was one of aggregate certainty. His reasoning was that active investors, as a whole group, must by definition match the market average before you factor in costs. But once their immense costs are subtracted, their aggregate results must necessarily be worse than those of passive investors paying minimal fees. For his side of the bet, Buffett deliberately selected the Vanguard 500 index fund. It was chosen because it met his 4 essential criteria. It had to accurately track its index, it could not have any sales commissions, it had to charge a very low management fee, and it had to allow for the automatic reinvestment of dividends. For him, These were the hallmarks of a sound investment. And this brings us to the central question of this entire affair, a question that remains just as relevant today for all investors as it was back in 2006. Can the promise of professional expertise, no matter how brilliant, consistently overcome the mathematical certainty of high costs over time? We hope this analysis has been illuminating and has helped frame the critical questions every investor must face. For more financial deconstructions, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to FinBot Insights.